Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gable.
And my name is Jacob Orts. Guys, welcome to YouTube exclusive number 1. Kind of number 2, but number 1.
Sort of.
We'll say number 1.
Whatever.
Guys, basically what we wanted to do today, we're not going to go through the normal intro or anything. This is not a normal podcast episode. But basically what we wanted to do today is just kind of go through a quick, 10, 12, 15-minute topic. We're outside. We were very clearly, in case you can't tell, very clearly just on the golf course.
I would hope people could tell that.
Dominating the course. I'm telling you right now, dominating the course. Okay.
Well, speak for yourself, buddy.
I had a 300-yard drive today.
No, you actually
probably multiple.
You had a great day in the course, 100%.
Yeah. Well, as far as driving, but
yes, that's true. Yeah.
Putting needs some work. But anyway, guys, this week we wanted to bring you something just a little different. Try out something new here. A YouTube exclusive only. This will not be on Spotify. This will not be on any of our audio platforms for that matter. But just bring you guys a YouTube exclusive. We want to get more of you guys on YouTube. We really want you guys to support the YouTube channel and grow that. We want to grow that. We want you guys to be a part of it. This is where we do a lot of fun content. We do vlogs, all of the podcast episodes, except last week because we had a bunch of issues with the audio. Not our fault necessarily. We're not exactly sure what happened. But anyway, I want to bring you guys a quick topic on legacy and what that means for us individually, why you should strive to continue on your family's legacy and to leave a lasting legacy.
Absolutely. So what's interesting and kind of what sparked that idea was, one, actually for you, it was with some of your kids that you coach.
Yeah.
But also,
right,
it's stuff that I've been noticing recently as well, just in conversation with people, is that, and for that matter, in the United States especially, our birth rates are dropping. This is a macro level, of course. Our birth rates are dropping. People are not wanting to have kids at as high of a degree as, past before the last 20 years or so, even for that matter.
Right.
Which is a massive change, because a lot of the times you heard of the U.S. as this country that really focuses on the children. They focus on building a family unit. The nuclear family idea came from the U.S.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to discuss the idea of legacy and why it's important, one, if you can have kids, to have a good amount of them, if you can, again, if finances / fertility allow for that, of course, because the macro effect of you passing down generational good things to your kids, grandkids, great-grandkids is unbelievable, because again, we're only here for 80 years, give or take, at a lot of times, most 80, 85.
Right.
So if you think about it that way, your legacy is really what you should be thinking about long term. Now, again, you should be, to a degree, as we've talked about in the past, selfish for a certain amount of years to then set up yourself for that legacy long term as well. So there's a way that fits in together.
Kind of working in the presence to preserve the legacy long term. Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing that's missing now, is that a lot of the times people think kids, they think annoying, they think loud. They even like middle school teenagers, they're talked about as annoying and whatnot.
Which they are.
Oh, not gonna lie. And I was annoying at that age too.
Sure, 100%. I'm sure we both were. Yeah,
I guarantee our parents can speak to that 100%. But the idea of that is, it's bigger than just, oh, it's annoying when a baby cries, or oh, it's annoying when a teenager has an attitude problem or whatever.
Right.
It's bigger than that.
Sure.
Because now, again, you and I are 25 years old, so we're now realizing this as we get older, and we're realizing it a lot earlier than I realize a lot of people do, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know, legacy to me is not only for men helping men, but it's also how the Christian community grows as well, how you shape a country in so many ways. Every country or every empire that's thrived has thrived off of family and legacy that came along with that, because they knew something was coming after them. They knew it wasn't just their 50 years there on the earth and they were done.
Sure.
You know?
I think it's also, it's about bettering the world beyond just yourself while you're on this earth, and I think that's kind of what you're alluding to there. You mentioned this was kind of a topic that I talked to my team about here this past week, and the context of that was you can't, especially in baseball, but really just in sports for the most part. Golf might be a different instance, and there's a handful of sports that are you know, solo sports or not team sports, but especially in team sports, like you can't only play for yourself. You know, you're playing for the team, you're playing for that family that you're a part of, that group, that unit, and you know, you're playing for that team or for that name across the front of your jersey. There's no doubt about it. 100% you are playing for that, you know, that name across the front, but don't forget about the one on the back. You know what I mean? Like, you're also playing for your family's name. You're representing your family. You are representing your family's legacy and things like that. You know, it is still much bigger than just you. You know, and it's very easy to get caught up in yourself and being individualized. And you mentioned already, like, there's times where you do have to be that way, no doubt. But I think if you can keep it in the forefront of your mind, like, hey, one day I'm not going to be here anymore. Like, that's how life is. I'm not going to be here anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. And so why not try and do everything I possibly can right now while I have this time on the earth, to then when I'm gone, people still remember who I was and what I did, you know? So, and it's not for the glory of like, hey, look at me, look what I did. You know, it's not at all about that. But, you know, what's something in today's world that we remember from like the old days?
You mean back in like the 80s, or back in like when we were younger and
like
whatnot?
What's something in current day that has a legacy? Anheuser-Busch,
yeah,
could be one. You know,
100%.
Obviously independent of all that BS that happened earlier this year, or I guess it was last year, mm-hmm. with the Bud Light thing. But even irregardless of that, Anheuser-Busch has one of the longest legacies that is still continuing to go in a massive way here in this country. You know, the legacies of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and mm-hmm. guys like that are still continuing on, you know? And so, not that you have to be a George Washington or a Abraham Lincoln or an Anheuser-Busch or, you know, Nike, as much as we have issues with them, but Nike, GM, you know, the car companies, Ford, yeah. Chevy, things like Dodge, you know, like all of these companies, all of these names, all these brands have a legacy. Mm-hmm. That will go on forever. They were built to a certain degree off the idea of legacy, and 100% off of American values. Off American values, yeah. You know what I mean? 100%. Like especially the Anheuser-Busch's and all of those GM car companies. Yeah. You know, 100% those are built off of American values. 100%. You know, red, white, and blue. Like this is USA, baby. Absolutely. And you know, even on like a micro level too, of, you know, you talk about big companies and families like that, like the Bush family and whatnot, but then you go down to the micro level, and we've met plenty of families that have a solid legacy of the mother and the fathers in the household, mm-hmm. no matter what generation it is. Oh yeah. It doesn't matter. And they are known for something to a certain degree. There's plenty of that in St. Louis, actually, for that matter. We run into, like the Sandstones are a name that floats around here a lot of the times that has like a lot of family legacy. Mm-hmm. A lot of real estate and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they have like 10 kids or something like that. Something like that. I believe. But that is what we talk about when we talk about micro level. And, you know, we're not saying all you guys have to go and start this massive brand or something like that. Of course not. Sure. Because there is still a micro effect on this and whatnot. If you're known in your neighborhood as like, man, I really like the Wirtz family. I really like what they stand for, and they've always treated us well. We never hear anything bad about them. Mm-hmm. All we see is like how well they get along with their kids, how they parent their kids, like all this stuff, and then that affects so many other things when that's so locked in just your neighborhood. And again, like, of course it relates to Christianity, because your legacy also relates to bringing people to Jesus Christ to a certain degree, of course. But even outside of the religious aspect of it, you know, if you set your family up, let's say you're an atheist and whatnot, you live for 85 years and then you just go to black, is the idea, I guess, and you're nothing else. At minimum, you can be on your deathbed and know, hey, I set my kids, their kids, and the kids after that up for success from here on out, because of how good of a father I was, how good of a mother I was, that type of thing, how good of a neighbor I was, that type of thing too. So if you consider legacy, it also affects the macro level of the country, because a lot of the times it's gone the way of only selfishness. You know, it's only about you, it's only about the individual, which that's like a whole, like you could like even relate to different like political movements of like collectivism and individualism and all this different stuff. When in reality it's like, if you can work together with your countrymen or with your neighbors or with those in your church or with those your coworkers at your job,
everything changes.
Yeah, right.
Everything shifts in a country whenever you have legacy, and whenever the generation then, aka us at 20, 25, even the teenagers we talk to in these videos and whatnot, then if we're already thinking at 15 to 30 years old in that range of how will this decision, me as a single man, myself as a single man, how will that affect, my kids? Like, is this decision going to influence my kids in a negative way or a positive way? Is it going to influence their grandkids? Like, is me being lazy and just laying on the couch going to affect my kids? I mean, maybe not. Maybe if it's just one day, maybe not. But are you willing to take that risk?
Right.
Is the real question. And yeah, I think if we can really take a turn in the right direction toward getting back to the idea of caring about generations after you, it would make such a difference in not only the United States, but the world.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about that in some more breaking news related topics where, where this country's headed right now, we feel that pressure of it's our responsibility to turn this around. We're not thinking about ourselves. We are to a certain degree because we still theoretically have, 50, 60, maybe even 70 more years left, on Earth, in this life, in this country, whatever. So we're not only thinking about ourselves a little bit there, but we're thinking about those generations after us, like you just mentioned. That's why we feel that responsibility, whether that's our own kids or just the generations that come after, because it's so vital to the future of a country, and future of a prosperous world.
Yeah.
Right now, the world is not prospering. This country is not prospering, and that's because the generations, and not everyone within the generations ahead of us falls to this, what I'm about to say, but like the generations before us did not do a good job of standing up to all this stuff happening in the government and just in the world in general. You know what I mean? The generations, especially like two ahead of us, so like ahead of our parents, they like to say, it's like, oh, these kids these days, like, they're identifying as this and that, and they're pretending to be furries and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, the kids are crazy, but like,
how did it get that way?
How did it get that way? How'd that happen?
Yep.
You may not be directly responsible, but
yeah,
are you?
You let them push the goalpost a little bit, though.
Exactly.
You let them push that little extra inch.
Exactly.
And you didn't stop it.
And they took the mile.
And again, that's why, again, we're 25 and we're at the point we're at when, with all this crazy stuff going on in the world, like it's at a pretty big peak right now of crazy stuff, of people getting exhausted with foreign wars, about gender and about
we're supposed to be in
religion,
an election year too,
and it's election year and like all this stuff. So you and I at 25 are getting hit with more stuff than most generations have before us, because again, those inches were slowly pushed little bit by little bit, because they neglected the fact that they as the grandparent or they as the parent had a duty to set their kids up and their grandkids up for success.
And we're one of the few ones that actually care about what's going on too, and about fixing it. Luckily we have surrounded ourselves with really good people. Obviously both sets of our parents, like we are 100%. Very thankful for them. They are amazing. Our siblings are fantastic. So like our immediate family, is great. But we have surrounded ourselves with other guys, for the most part, around our age, that we talk about this stuff. We want to fix these problems. We want to be leaders in doing those things. You know what I mean? So like we've taken the action of doing that, but the amount of people that don't care, that don't want to be responsible for that, for leading, the changes and things like that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Which is why we're the ones that get outcasted, or you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're crazy. It's like, really, because you wore a mask. Actually, you're still wearing a mask in your car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, we're the crazy ones, but you're 350 pounds. You know what I mean? We're trying to get you healthy. Like, we're trying to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're the ones caring about you avoiding heart disease.
Exactly.
And you're
being
not
dead in a year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you would rather DoorDash food to yourself every single night, 5,000, 10,000 calories worth of garbage, than go make a change, and that's the worst part.
Yeah. Well, and then you'll hear people say like, yeah, I like to hold children, but then I'll give them right back because, you know, it's kind of annoying when they cry and whatnot. And then I hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, like this is what's difficult about having these conversations too, because you don't want to hit them all with it right there, because most people don't respond well to being like, dude, it's a child. Like, no duh, it's crying.
You cried too.
It's 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you were the same way, bro. Like, chill out.
Right.
And not to mention, then all I hear from that person is like, I don't give a shit about the generations after me.
Yeah.
My vote in the election doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Because it's not gonna, it's only gonna affect myself.
Right.
That's what I hear from that.
Right.
You know, and again, like, maybe that's crazy. Maybe we're the conspiracy theorists again, but we haven't missed on much in the last 4 years. So
you know, we do have glasses here with us. I'm just saying.
Of course, I forgot my pit vipers today. But it's like, you know, again, like you said, you're told you're the crazy one, but then all of a sudden we've seen an influx in the last 2 years especially of other men that we now have met that have shifted their opinions because a very small percentage of people said no to the COVID stuff, or said no to foreign wars, or said no to sending, says no to sending more money to Ukraine or Israel or whoever it is. Yeah. But you're still told you're the crazy one, but you're 100% right, because it sounds harsh, but you're like, I don't want you to be fat because it affects my kids as well. Objectively, that affects society when you are a slob yourself. Yeah. Because you don't care about what you do, so your actions will not care about what you do either.
Right. And at the end of the day, you know, some of those people are going to refuse to change, and that's 100%. Fine. Yeah. So that's why you have to take it upon yourself to set that example for your own kids, for your family, for those around you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I like that, dude.
I did too.
I enjoyed this little outdoor conversation, little evening talk.
Something about being outdoors makes this conversation a little bit easier to flow.
We have been outdoors a lot. We spent like 5 hours on the course today.
Add an hour because of myself.
That's all right. You know, that's all right.
That's not the point. Yeah.
Gotta find the wallet. Gotta find the wallet. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this first YouTube exclusive. Definitely share this. Okay, we had a bunch of support on our last podcast episode, 120, I believe it was. Yep. Sometimes I get mixed up in the numbers, but 100%. Guys, continue sharing the show, continue telling people about it. Share this one as well. This is our first YouTube exclusive. We both enjoyed this for sure, so we will definitely be bringing these more to you. So guys, until next time, peace and love.
Thanks, ladies and gents.